Pursuant to Section 841411 of the Nebraska statutes, the notice of this meeting was given on March 13th, 2020. The meeting will convene at 6:30 p.m., and visitors may obtain a request to be heard from any staff for any presentation they may have for the meeting. In accordance with policy, the request to be heard forms must be submitted to the secretary within the first 5 minutes of the board meeting in order to be heard at this meeting. Agenda items are subject to reorder at the board president. Please stay the entire meeting to ensure you're able to hear any discussion. Thank you. Pursuant to Section 8414 of 11 of the Nebraska statutes, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education of Douglas County School District 0001 and the Board of Educational Service Unit Number 19 will be held on April 15th at 6:30 p.m. in the Board Meeting Room in the Teacher Administrative Center, 3215 Cummings Street. The agenda will be kept current and available for public inspection in the Office of the Secretary of the Board of Education at the Administrative Building during regular working hours. Pursuant to Section 8414.12 of the Nebraska statutes, the public is hereby informed that a current copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the Board Meeting Room on the north wall. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Vice President Dr. Holman will lead us in the OPS vision and mission statement.
First, our vision: every student, every day, prepared for success. And our mission: Omaha Public Schools prepares all students to excel in college, career, and life.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, roll call, please.
Cassidy.
Here.
Godding.
Present.
Holman.
Here.
Cracky. Perlman.
Present.
Ryan. Smith. Snipe.
Present.
Snow.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you. Mrs. Cracky and Ms. Ryan will not be able to attend tonight's meeting. I will entertain a motion to excuse both of them from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
There's a motion by Ms. Snipe,
Second.
second by Mrs. Godding. Roll call, please.
Snow.
Yes.
Cassidy.
Aye.
Godding.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Perlman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Snipe.
Aye.
7.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to Board and Superintendent Communications. Superintendent Dr. Logan.
Good evening, President Snow and members of the Board of Education and those in the audience and watching via stream. This has been a very long 2 weeks. This past Friday, Omaha Public Schools participated in a press conference held by Governor Pete Ricketts in Lincoln. We participated alongside our area superintendents and Ted Carter, president of the University of Nebraska system. During the press conference, we emphasized that the health and safety of our students and staff is our priority. Our school district leadership team has been heavily engaged in planning for a range of contingencies and responses to COVID-19 for weeks in the event our local community and country's response to this pandemic requires us to activate those plans. Prior to the press conference, we sent communication to our staff and families informing them of our decision to close schools this week as a preemptive measure to limit community spread. What we know right now is that information about the impact of COVID-19 is changing rapidly. During our spring break, information changed hourly across our community, state, and country. The decision to close our schools was made after careful consideration and deliberation in close consultation with other local public health officials and area leaders. The closure this week allows us to continue that close coordination with public health officials, the Nebraska Department of Education, and the state of Nebraska to best respond to this evolving situation. During this closure, we are committed to continuing to engage our students. We've developed printed learning packets to send home for our elementary school students. Actually was able to see parents picking those up at Chandler View this afternoon. The packets were able to for pickup by families at their schools, student school today. Packets can also be accessed on our Omaha Public Schools website. If parents still need packets, those can be accessed here at the TAC building or at your child's school tomorrow. The principals will be in the buildings tomorrow. You should call ahead so the principal knows that you're there. For our middle and high school students, we will provide one assignment per week per class via email or through another digital platform for most classes. More information on that will come from individual teachers. Again, I was also able to go to several high schools today. I was at South High School, Bryan High School, Central High School, and at Burke High School to witness that. Actually, I didn't see it, but I did see it that they were passing laptops out later this afternoon. Students will be expected to complete the lessons during the closure. The lessons are designed to keep our children engaged in learning. A few people have asked about why the lessons are not graded. a few reasons. One, we are not sure whether staff will be available. We are experiencing an unprecedented health crisis in our country, and we want to be able to make promises that we can keep. And so, so as not to promise something when we have staff that could perhaps be ill, or could be quarantined, or could be caring for a loved one who may be ill. We wanted to make sure that that was something that we did. We also do not know the date that we are going to return for school. For families who have internet access but do not have a household computer or mobile device, we've asked that those families please contact your school principal by email so we can provide support to keep our students engaged. Also, thanks to a great partnership between Omaha Public Schools and Scholastic, all our families have access to online reading materials through our Learning at Home site. The site is for pre-K through grade 9, is a free resource for home use. Learning opportunities provided through this resource include projects based on engaging articles and stories, virtual field trips, reading, geography challenges, and more. Last year, we had a survey that was done by Bright Bites, which is one of our technology partners, which revealed that 89% of our students do have internet access at home, and 67% have access to at least one device, and in many instances, that device may be shared. Families can access the link from our Omaha Public Schools COVID-19 information webpage. As our families work with students to keep them engaged with the curriculum materials we have provided, they can email their child's teachers with questions that may arise about the content. We also have certified teachers available to answer questions via email for students and families. We understand also that many students rely on school meals. Due to the recommendation to limit large gatherings of people and in the interest of student and staff safety, meals will not be served at schools during the closure. We are grateful for our partners at the Food Bank of the Heartland. The Food Bank has announced 6 upcoming drive-up mobile food pantries. We have shared this information online and in our social media channels for families who need it. We will likely augment this effort and will, in terms of grab and go, breakfasts and lunches once per week where students can pick them up for the entire week. That information will come out on Wednesday. We encourage our community partners and those who can to support the food bank for the work they are doing to help meet this community-wide need during this unprecedented time. We cannot do this work alone, and we are looking forward to our community partners stepping up to do their part. As of right now, we continue to work with state and local officials to assess the current community health situation and determine next steps regarding the possible length of school closure. As we mentioned, the information that guides those decisions is changing rapidly. One last thing about meals, as I've received some information, please understand that we have over 40,000 students who are eligible for free meals. So you can imagine what that is. As people have compared other districts, it's really not a fair comparison and inappropriate, I think, to do so. Throughout the duration of our response to this pandemic, we encourage staff and families to visit the designated COVID-19 webpage we have created to share updates. There, we will post the latest information. We are also sharing updates in social media and will send regular email updates. If families have specific questions for a classroom teacher or school principal, please contact them by email. We have also established an email address for general questions during closure. That email address is info@ops.org. Because of the volume of questions that may come in, we ask for patience as we reply. In closing, staff throughout our district community have worked diligently to prepare and support our students and families during this time. We appreciate the commitment and ethic of care that demonstrates. We value those close relationships. Matter of fact, I talk to Dr. Poor every day, and it's been really great to have her expertise. They have been extremely helpful to our school district throughout the past several weeks, and we sincerely appreciate their support. We want to reiterate that the goal of a community closure is to mitigate the spread of the virus. We ask that staff, families, and community members follow the guidance of the CDC and Douglas County Health Department. The CDC recommends the best way to stop the spread in a community is to limit exposure to others. As our local public health officials and the Centers for Disease Control share more information about COVID-19 as they learn more, with local school districts across the country. We will continue to share that information with our staff and families. We appreciate the support of our community during this time. In closing, also, I would like to talk to our young people. I am particularly concerned about our young people who are experiencing something that is catastrophic and unprecedented while they're young. I'm concerned about our high school seniors. I'm concerned about students who are worried about some rite of passage events, such as the prom, and the fact that these closures and coronavirus spread throughout the community will likely impact those events. Please, young people, know that we do not minimize the stress, and know that there are places that you can reach out to. First of all, you have your families, your loved ones, and your friends, so please stay connected with all of those. You have your teachers who you can connect with, especially our high schoolers who need to connect with their teachers. Many of you have reached out to me, so I'm okay being superintendent mom and you inboxing me, but there are many others who are also better positioned to support you. We also have Safe to Help Nebraska, which is an app that young people can access in case they are experiencing some stress or anxiety. And I will be honest with you, young people, your superintendent is experiencing anxiety, and if I need to reach out for help, I certainly will do that too. It's something that I've never experienced, and none of us have ever experienced, and so it's okay to say that you are experiencing some anxiety in these unprecedented times. But young people, I want you to know I'm especially thinking about you and the things that you are experiencing, whether it's participation in sports or a special event such as the prom. It is something that is important to us, and we look forward to the day when we can turn to normalcy and hopefully make up some of that time. Thank you. We appreciate the support of our community during this time.
Thank you, Dr. Logan. I will open it up for board members. Any comments? Ms. Snipe?
First, I just wanted to take a moment just to really thank Dr. Logan just for her outstanding leadership through all of this, because as you said, this is something you haven't experienced in even all the years that you've been involved in this, and I can't even imagine what it is like to be in your shoes. As a board member, it's been anxiety producing. So again, I couldn't even begin to understand. So I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I am praying for you to stay vigilant through all of this. So I just wanted to thank you very much for your leadership in all of this. And I also want to just take a moment to really thank the community too, because many people know I'm very involved at the community level, and so we see the hard work that the district is doing, and we recognize that. And I've had a lot of people in the community, from elected officials to community members to nonprofit leaders, really step up, especially in the communities that I work in, which are North and South Omaha. And we've created task forces to really be just points of communication and to refer people to resources. But I'm just really proud of all of them. And Dr. Danita Webb, who is actually an OPS employee, I wanted to share that a lot of parents are going to also be now homeschooling, and so she's trying to help with that as well. And so she is creating YouTube reading videos. And so she's teaching short lessons focused on reading comprehension skills tied to standards to help support elementary students in reading as they complete their packets that have been provided by the district at home. So if you know anyone who's having any sort of issues like that, like Dr. Logan said, they can reach out to OPS. And so I'm just so very proud to have a district that has taken something like this, where the information is literally changing by the minute, and being able to keep up and being able to be a support to all of our kids. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Snipe. Mrs. Godding.
Well, I too want to thank Dr. Logan for her comments and just for the leadership. And I'm a mom experiencing the anxiety. I've got a senior in high school and a senior in college. So for those parents out there, I know exactly what you're feeling right now, because you want your child to go through all the lasts and have an awesome time doing it. I would toss out a couple of other thoughts. Parents of elementary students, specifically, I think about when I'm in PTA meetings, I'm constantly telling parents, if you need extra resources for your student, go to Khan Academy. And I would also just reiterate that for high school students who are not sure yet what's going to happen with those AP exams. And I know my child has been checking daily to see what AP is saying, what the College Board is saying. But I don't believe every course, but Khan Academy certainly has resources and supports to get you through those AP tests. So I would encourage parents, if you're student and students, if you're listening, if there's extra time you have now, and instead of doing Fortnite or something else, think about going on to Khan Academy and reinforcing the skills that your teachers have taught you and that will supplement what we've already given you, and specifically for those high school students who are having a little bit of anxiety with their AP tests. I've been hearing from parents, so I know exactly what they're going through right now. There's a lot of crunch work that has to happen in the next month for those students. So think about Khan Academy to support you in those courses where it's supported.
Can I respond? Thank you for that. I will tell you that the College Board is working very hard to figure out what they're going to do. And I spoke with some colleagues in New York, Department of Education, and who are a little closer, tied in closer with College Board, and they are they're scrambling right now to figure out what to do. So to the degree that I can tell our young people, yes, because there's lots of great advanced placement course websites, places where they can go, and resources. There are a lot of people who are out there and want to make sure that if assessment is given, that it certainly reflects the efforts that students have put in, and that it's actually valid. So that's part of the issue right now. So thank you for that.
Ms. Knight. Good. All righty. Any other comments on the board? Okay. We do have no public comment. We have no public comment. So moving on to the consent agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda that is here before us.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Dr. Holman. Any abstentions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Cassidy.
Aye.
Gotti.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Perlman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Snipe.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
7-0.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to our item on the agenda, our legislative update. We have our lobbies here, Blair, also our in-house counsel, Megan Nichols-Bresh. Blair McDonald?
Hi, guys. So obviously a lot has changed since last Thursday when the legislature last adjourned. You may have heard this morning the announcement that the speaker made to go ahead and suspend the session indefinitely. Prior to that decision coming down this morning, the speaker had hoped to convene starting tomorrow, which would have been day 41, through this Friday to hopefully pass the budget. So last Thursday we had our first round of debate. Sorry, I thought I was going for that one. All right, so last Thursday we had our first round of debate on the budget, on the two mainline budget bills. So we did eventually pass those, and the speaker made an announcement at that time that he was hoping that we would be able to go ahead and meet this week, meet Tuesday through Friday, and get the budget bills passed and then signed by the governor. He also talked at a very preliminary level about other emergency provisions that would be potentially related to the COVID-19 outbreak and coronavirus spread. So there were a lot of discussions over the weekend amongst lawmakers about potential emergency provisions that should be added potentially as amendments to the budget, both financial as well as kind of employment related. This afternoon, you may have seen the governor had a press conference with the Department of Education and the Department of Labor and their commissioners on some potential emergency provisions. So those powers are kind of handed over to the governor temporarily at this point. The speaker has still said that he would like to come together to pass an emergency appropriation. And that could come as early as the senators could get the call as early as next Monday to come back on the 23rd to do so. But as about 2/3 of our legislature would be falling into some level of the high-risk category. And of course, that with the public gatherings now limited to 10 people, it may be difficult to do that as early as next week. That was kind of coming before that statement was made by the speaker before new CDC guidelines came down, and the governor made his recommendation to limit public gatherings to 10 people or less. So it remains to be seen when we might come back together. I did want Ms. Niels-Brash to go ahead and explain what one of those emergency provisions would be related to education employment.
So currently there is a state statute 79.8(106), which relates to teachers specifically and the compensation that they would receive as salary for and during pandemics. That provision doesn't provide for other certificated staff, and it also does not provide for benefits, nor does it provide for non-certificated staff. And so they want to amend that provision and try to include all staff as part of that so that it's not gratuitous.
Sorry, can you just please repeat that number?
Sure. 79.8(106). So that's one of the provisions that they're discussing about amending so that it provides school districts like ourselves the flexibility that we would need to continue to provide compensation and benefits to all of our employees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So there is one bill that I do want to discuss with you. Obviously, it remains to be seen when we might be gathering again and convening the legislature, but just as a sort of precaution for ourselves. So last week there was discussion around a new amendment that would kind of become the LB 974 School Finance Property Tax Relief Bill. There are two shell bills that were introduced earlier this session by Speaker Scheer, LBs 1106 and 1107. We found out early last week that the Revenue Committee and Senator Linehan had been making changes to what was the last LB 974 amendment, making some changes to that, kind of just a few changes around the edges that don't necessarily make the bill any better for us. We would still anticipate a bit of a loss, so we did want to go ahead and just take a position on the bill that we heard that it would be amended into. It would be 1106. The Legislative Committee made a position recommendation of oppose to that LB 1106. And you'll see it on your matrix. I believe it's on page 22. And you'll see the description of the bill has nothing to do with what the amendment would be. The amendment would gut the original language and then put in place what would be, for working purposes, a different version of LB 974, if that all makes sense to you. So you'll see that it looks like it's a sales tax provision in the summary of the bill, but we make that recommendation to the board.
Thank you. Any questions or anything about the session or what was just discussed? Mr. Perlman.
You may have mentioned this, but any idea when they may resume, or it's day to day, week to week?
It is day to day, hour to hour, minute by minute. I think, you guys know better than I, frankly, when it would be safe to meet again.
It's a great date that you have on the note. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. This is an action item, so entertain a motion to approve the Legislative Committee's recommendation to oppose LB 1106.
So moved.
Second.
It was motion by Ms. Snipes, second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Gadding.
Aye.
Holman.
Aye.
Perlman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Snipe.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Cassidy.
Aye.
7 aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. That was the only item we had on our agenda. We do have for receipt of reports, CBOC, Phase 1 and Phase 2 update. Just want to let everyone know that our next board meeting has been pushed back to April 15th. As of now, it could be pushed back even further, depending on what's going on. Dr. Holman.
I move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the protection of the public interest and for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of individuals to discuss with the superintendent, secretary to the board, and legal counsel legal advice.
Motion to go into closed session by Dr. Holman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cassidy. Roll call, please.
Holman.
Aye.
Perlman.
Aye.
Smith. Aye. Snipe.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye.
Cassidy.
Aye.
Goding.
Aye.
7 aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Let me remind the board that the purpose for closed session is for the protection of the public interest and for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of individuals, to discuss with the superintendent, secretary to the board, and legal counsel, legal advice. Let the record reflect the board went into closed session at 6:55. Be safe. Let the record reflect, board came out of closed session at 7:23. Meeting's adjourned.